Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. You're getting a double dose this time. Be careful not to OD on me, otherwise you might die of laughter. But jokes aside, there is something that's always bugged me. Something that has been niggling me at the back of my mind. No, it's not food. It is Prevent. You know, the government organisation that is supposed to, well, the key word really is in the name, isn't it? Prevent terrorists from doing their atrocities, like Axel Radaku Banana, Michael Adewobale, or whatever the bloody hell his name is, the guy who was one of the brothers who killed Lee Rigby. Isn't it funny how they always seem to fail to identify the minorities, or the usual suspects? However, when it comes down to people like Alfie Coleman, who allegedly made a kill list of Tesco workers or race traitors, as it were, they jumped on him instantly. And I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts that they're literally going to go out of their way to say, oh, he was a far-right extremist. And I do know that it was alleged that he was consuming a lot of extreme right-wing content. But I always find it funny how these stories seem to come to the forefront. Oh, hey, it's always funny how these stories come to the forefront. Yet when it comes down to the ethnic minorities, BAME basically, they always seem to struggle to identify people as terrorists, or at least extremists. But I guess that's what you get when you put a government that is about as confident as a drunk chocolate fireguard. And especially when that government is led by none other than Keir the traitor Starmer. But doesn't it strike you lot as baffling how it's always, when it comes down to white people being extremists, they're not afraid to display all the intricate little details and emphasise he's an extreme right-wing person, and oh, he had a kill list, and oh, he had this, that and the other. Now, allegedly as well, apparently this guy actually had an AK-47 and he also had a Makarov pistol. I think the man's been playing too much Call of Duty. Anyway, jokes aside, the fact of the matter is, how the hell did he get the weapon in the first place, first and foremost? And secondly, why is it they always seem so eager to publish the details of them, but they're not so willing to tell us any details when it's the usual suspects, or the BAME, the BAME, you know, those kinds of peeps. Especially when you consider what I've mentioned in the last video, which is basically how our two-tier policing society is going out of their way to transport some of these domestic terrorists to these protests that us innocent, concerned patriots are doing, and Tommy Robertson has also started going to. Why is it the police are aiding these domestic terrorists in helping stir up the crowd? Why is that? And I think it is simply because, like I said in my last video, I think it's because the police don't know how to handle a peaceful protest, whereas a violent protest, they know they can just use as much force as they want, especially if you're a white working class or English patriot. Because after all, they won't touch the BAME community with a barge pole. But if an innocent, patriotic person shows even the slightest bit of overexcitedness, you can bet your ass he's going to get smashed in the face with a shield or a baton. Oh, sorry, truncheon. Well, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, that's the way I see it. I do honestly find it sickening, though, the fact that we have such a political police force. Last time, I thought, and maybe I'm using too much common sense here, but I was under the impression that the police should be, oh, I don't know, enforcing the rule of law, apolitically, without bias, fairly and justly. And instead, what we get is a political force that does not want to exercise the same robustness on the BAME community over the working class. We've seen them time and time again beat the living shit out of indigenous patriots. Meanwhile, the real violent terrorists and thugs, they get treated with kids' gloves. They get told, oh no, please don't do that, please calm down, please stop that, please don't do this. Whereas us, they just don't hesitate to bring out the bats, the truncheons, the shields, and hell, as I said in the last video, I believe, actually no I didn't, I think I deleted that one, but there was a man who ended up getting his teeth knocked out by a man with a shield. Didn't even go up to him and punch him in the face or anything first. You could argue maybe his tone, but Other than that, the man was no threat. He was just frustrated and concerned, and he has every right, under Article 10 of the Human Rights Act, to voice his frustrations, even if the snowflake police can't take it. But this police officer, well, no restraint whatsoever, ended up completely smacking him full force in the face with one of the plastic shields. Hell, when it comes down to the elderly, they also don't give a shit. I still remember back in, I believe it was it 2018 or was it 2019? I think it was 2018. No, actually, no, it was 19, because that was more along the lines of when I started. But basically, there was a senior man who was trying to stop a cop trying to reach up for his arms to make sure that he wasn't hitting anyone with the truncheon that he had. This thug in uniform then decided to hit this man squarely in the stomach and push him away. Like, that's the thing. These people that are going out their way to protect their friends and all that do not mean the police any harm, and yet, because of the fact that they are more than willing to maliciously persecute the indigenous English people, we see loads of the elderly just getting treated like dirt. We've seen the police punch the elderly in the face, knock them to the floor, and basically treat them like walking doormats. People who are literally contributing the most to this country, or have contributed the most to this country, are basically being treated with such contempt by the police, but they wouldn't dare do this. They wouldn't even think it for a fraction of a second with the Islamic community, for example. But I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts. I'm willing to bet if another white patriot comes out, they will not hesitate. If they turn out to be a scumbag, for all I know, they won't hesitate to release the details of all the stuff that he was, and they will do everything they can to paint the narrative that he was far right. Whereas with the Islamic community, they'll do everything they can to cover it up. That's what I find truly disgusting about this two-tier policing and two-tier justice society. They'll do everything they can to prevent the public from knowing the full details. They will stop journalists from being able to talk about certain things that would make the establishment look bad. We all know full well that if they try to do the same shit, where they try to batter people from the Islamic community or the BAME communities, we know the moment they do that, there'd be riots across the country. Just like that. They would not even think about it. They would just riot. There is no shot the police would even dare to attack those people, because they're too spineless to be seen as racist. They're too spineless to actually police apolitically. And the police wonder why we've lost all respect for them. Keir the traitor Starmer wonder why he's despised so much. The mainstream media wonder why they're not trusted. Like, it all comes down to the way they treat their indigenous citizens. Well, I'm going to tell the two-tier police something. There is going to come a time where you're going to need our help. You're going to need the help of the indigenous English people. And you know what's going to happen when you call out for help? When you ask the public for assistance? We're not going to be there to help you. We'll remember everything you've done. We will remember all the persecution that the government, that the media, that the two-tier police, the two-tier justice system, we will remember everything you've done. And if a criminal comes along and they're giving you trouble, why the fuck should we get involved, quite frankly? But that's the thing. We do not respect the police right now. If the police did their job without favour or political bias, if they did their job, what problems would we have? None. You know why? Because we could look to the police and say, yeah, they're doing their job. They're actually doing what they're supposed to. Right now, all you're showing is that you are incapable of policing the streets instead of tweets. You are completely incapable of policing the law impartially and without bias, without fear or favour, and you're willing to do it in a robust manner. But we don't see that. Oh, you might be robust at times, but you're only ever robust when it comes down to the so-called far right, which I've yet to see them. Even though I keep looking to my right, I can't see them, which means only one or two things. One is that they're all wearing their cloaks of invisibility and we are unable to see them. Or two, they don't exist. Though I say that, ironically, there is actually a religion that really would classify as far right, and I don't think you need to be a genius to figure that one out. I'll give you a clue. It begins in I and ends in M. Right, sorry about that. I was actually asking him for some directions because I need to make sure I'm able to get to work on time. Trouble is, down St. Augustine's there's actually roadworks going on, so I'm having trouble getting to work. Anyway, back to the story. The fact of the matter is, our police have no spine whatsoever. They don't have the balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case both, to actually make those hard decisions. To be like, you know what? We should not be currying any fear or favour with anyone. We should be policing the streets rather than the tweets and do it without bias. And if our police people on duty, if they're incapable of doing that, they need to leave the force. But I think what needs to happen more than anything, cold bitter truth is, I think there needs to be more female officers on the duty of protecting the people that have been violated. Take the female officers off the front line, because they clearly, a lot of them at least, do not have the physical necessities to be on the front lines. How is a woman supposed to keep up with an athletic man? A man, unfortunately, and it's not to be mean or nasty or sexist or chauvinistic or whatever, is women won't, in most cases, stack up to men as far as physicality is concerned. I mean, when you compare me to a woman, I mean, sure, the female officers would probably run fucking rings around me. But number one, last time I checked, I wasn't a criminal. And number two, I'm not actively going out of my way to get away from people. I'm not exactly as fit as some of these criminals are. And that's the thing. You need to be physically fit, whether you're an officer or a criminal, because if you're an officer, you need to catch up to them, and if you're a criminal, you need to be physically fit in order to run away from them. What do you think's going to happen when you put an athletic male against a female? The female's going to get cooked. We have seen recent examples where women have lost male criminals or are incapable of tackling male criminals. I cannot stress enough, we need more men in the force, not more women in the force. But more importantly, Prevent need to do their fucking job properly and without bias. It truly is a sad situation when we have a Prevent force that is clearly capable of doing their job, but in most cases, it seems like they just choose not to. The way I see it, Prevent seems to be more interested in protecting the terrorists than actually protecting the people. Why is that? Why is it that Prevent had 3 opportunities to stop Axel Radaku Banana, and yet they chose not to? It was clear as crystal that he showed, I believe it was motivation. He showed motivation that he wanted to carry out a serious attack. And yet, 3 times they visited, and they still thought he wasn't a danger. It makes you wonder, what good are Prevent? What do Prevent actually do? Do they actually prevent counter-terrorism? Or cause it? Do they do their job? Or do they slack off of it? There are people right now that are living and dying for the cross. Whether they should be in these wars in the Middle East and what have you, obviously That's subjective opinion. I personally think they shouldn't be fighting wars that are nothing to do with us, personally. Likewise, I think our army should not even remotely consider conscription so that Keir the traitor Starmer can send the supposed far right over to Russia. Although I've said before that Keir the traitor Starmer is merely using Russia as a cover to prevent us from being able to figure out he's actually preparing for civil war. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me, it doesn't suit the narrative. I know I'm not a preaching Christian. I do accept that I'm more of a... What's the term I'm looking for? I do believe there is a God. I don't fully commit to Christianity. Is it agnostic? I can't remember off the top of my head. But I fully appreciate, as I said, that this country here is Christian. And sometimes I have wondered, can I ask someone to give me a crucifix so at least I have a cross to hold? Who said the only cross you get is buns? Shut up, you. I'm not that bad. Fuck off. I am not that bad. Jesus Christ. Oh, and for Lord, forgive me because I have sinned and blah, blah, blah. Hopefully all is forgiven and all that usual crap. But I digress. What is Prevent's purpose? Are they a scapegoat? Are they a cover-up for the establishment? Does feel like it, doesn't it? It does feel like it when we're seeing loads of foreign invaders being shipped into our hotels and we're supposed to sit there and take it and accept our replacement. Not fucking happening. The English people are realising what's going on and they're taking action. Ballymena, Epping, Belfast, Ulster, Manchester, Southport, just to name a few. Just saw a seagull fly by. Anyway, those are just a few towns that have decided they've had enough. They've decided it's time for the government to do their job, or we're going to do it for them. And then they will have a problem. Much better. The way I see it, our two-tier policing society have proven to be completely incompetent and in fact complicit. I think our police are working with the criminals and the terrorists at this point. I could be wrong on this, but what we've seen in Epping seems to suggest otherwise, quite frankly. The fact that they were more than willing to ship loads of Antifa scum and they were willing to bring in the usual 20 pence ponces from Stand Up to Racism to try and stir the pot, as it were. It does beg the question, because they've done this multiple times. They have tried to trigger a protest multiple times. Tommy Robinson has many times said to the police that we want to go from X, Y, and Z. We want to go from point A to point B. And we've got it all planned out so that we avoid confrontation. And yet, the police at one point, I believe it was in around 2017 or 16, something like that. But at some point, Tommy Robinson's little protest in Manchester, the police guided them all the way into an Antifa blockade. And then, of course, it all kicked off. But the mainstream media, of course, are not going to want to tell you that. But our two-tier policing society will do everything they can to dismantle brick by brick and do everything they can to shut down any decent political movement, any political protest. They do not want people defying the government. They would rather us shut up for the sakes of diversity and continue to let Afghanis and Eritreans, which are 20 times more likely to commit crimes of a sexual nature over English nationals, they'd rather us just let them have their way with our innocent girls and our women and let them use them as sleeves or easy meat. That's our two-tier police for you. Our two-tier government for you. Always willing to shirk responsibility like I shirk salads. Always willing to take the easy way out, rather than actually have the guts, and I certainly have plenty. They don't have the guts, though, to actually do what's right. They don't have the guts to actually do right by the people of England. They do not have the decency to realise that we are not angry because we want to have a natural enemy. We're not angry because, oh, foreign person bad. We're not angry because we want to take out the police or whatever. No, none of that is true. What we have a problem with is people from their cultures that bring the most destructive parts of those cultures to our homes. We don't want Islam to come over here and bring Sharia law for the whole of the UK. We don't want them making it so that they have the right to take white women as sex slaves. We don't want them being able to throw gay people off the top of buildings or stone them to death. That stroke number one, that sort of barbaric shit belongs in the 5th century, quite frankly. It does not belong in 21st century Western civilization. You want to practice Sharia law? Go back to the third world shitholes you came from, because we don't want it. We prefer going forward. We prefer achieving stuff. We prefer progressing into a future age, not regressing back to the fucking Stone Age. If you scumbags of that death cult that you call Islam want to go back to beating each other over the head with a club, you do that. Don't fucking include us in that shit, because we want no part of it. We actually have higher standards than you vermin. We actually have higher standards than the people that think it's perfectly okay that Muhammad took in a 7-year-old girl and made out with her and married her. I know people are not going to like that, and I'm probably going to have a bloody target on the back of my skull bigger than Tiger Stadium, quite frankly. But I don't give a shit, because as I've always said, and you can say it with me, I'm not going to sugarcoat a motherfucking thing. I am not going to mince my words. I'm going to say it exactly how it is, and I'll do my best not to bullshit you. And the cold, bitter truth for the extremists of Islam, of Sunni Islam to be precise, is that their culture is incompatible with the Western world. It's only compatible in the Middle East, where a lot of the countries are predominantly practicing Islam. If you want to stone people to death, you want to throw people off of buildings, you want to treat women as second-class citizens, go to a third world shithole. Because here, we treat women with decency and respect. And let me tell you something else as well. The English people are not going to take fucking kindly to you violating our kids, to violating our women. You dare fuck with them, you fuck with us as well. And I assure you, you ponced up little gym bunnies, you try to take one of us on, you're going to get flattened. Just like that. And in my case, probably literally if I sit on you. Anyway, these people will destroy you if you try to take them on. Because that's the thing. You cowards in Islam, you prefer to do things with your hive mind. You prefer 10-on-1 rather than 1-on-1. You prefer to prey on the weak rather than the people that are actually capable of defending themselves. You're more than capable of attacking some poor woman who hasn't got a fucking hope in hell in holding her own against 10 men. if I can even call you men. I think that's personally should be classed as a bloody insult to all us Englishmen who live in this country, quite frankly. You're not men. You're pompous, pathetic, childish 5th century kids. That's what you are. I know I've gone off topic as far as Prevent is concerned, but I'm not afraid to call out Islam for what it is. It's a hive mind full of cowards. Though devil's advocate, they do have more community than us. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Their community is much more tightly knit than ours. They have got it down pat. Whereas we are kind of like, we're a collection of people in different groups that all want the same thing, but I guess the way to look at it is, think of a bit of glass, and then someone takes a hammer to that glass. We're fragmented, is the term I'm looking for. We are fragmented. And what we need to do is put the bits of glass back together and hope we don't cut our hands, but beside the point. What we need to do is get those bits of glass together, repair that glass, and we need to form a massive fucking community, a massive organisation, if you will. A massive party, if necessary. Bring the champagne, because I don't drink. Anyway, the fact is we need to do that. We need to get our community together, because it's very obvious at this point that Keir the traitor Starmer, the whole of the nonce party, I mean Labour Party, or maybe I was right first time, the whole of Prevent, most of the Islamic community, they are the real enemies here. They are the ones who basically want to get rid of every other religion. Whereas Christianity and the other religions are more than happy to either integrate or cooperate with other religions. Islam is completely unwilling to compromise. For Islam, it's their way or the highway. For them, they're either top dog or they're nothing. Simple as that. It's either Islam calls the shots or Islam starts firing shots. Am I wrong? I'd love for somebody to prove me completely fucking wrong. But a lot of them won't try it because they know the vast majority of what I say is correct. Islam does not compromise for anything. Hell, some of the imams have even come out and said it point blank, straight from the horse's mouth. Why the long face? No, but they've said it like point blank. No integration, basically. They do not want integration. They want to subjugate. They want to conquer. There is a reason it's called the warrior conquering religion. It is because it does not tolerate other religions. It does not assimilate. It dominates. The bottom line is this. The establishment, the oligarchy, the mainstream media, they will never realise the shitstorm that they're heading into. Islam wants to destroy us all. Think of all the invasions that the Islamic scumbags did over those crusades. How hard some of these countries had to fight to keep Islam out of their countries. And now they're trying to invade again. And all it is this time is rather than try to use the front door, they're trying to go round and use the back door. That's what it comes down to. People like Tommy Robinson, they wanted to silence him because he was warning us of what was happening. He was warning us that these rape gangs were targeting our women and that Islam wants to conquer the world and put worldwide Sharia law in place, a caliphate. He was laughed at. He was ridiculed. Then they fought him. And then he won because he was proven right. All we need to do is repeat that process. First they laugh at you. Then they mock you. Then they laugh at you. Actually, no, I've just repeated that twice. First they laugh at you, then they mock you, then they fight you, and the final step, which is what we will do, is we will win.